whether it's the first time or whether it's the 2000th time that I've done it, we always have that same sentiment before we go on the stage of understanding it's somebody's very first time watching a musical, but it's also somebody's very last time. In either way, we're creating memories. It's going to be the first time that you've seen this with your child, your grandchild, your friend, your spouse, or it's going to be the last time that you get to see it with those people. And the memories that we get to make and we get to create in that moment, in that time, is going to be the only time that it's ever going to happen in this lifetime. There's never going to be a time that cast and that audience is going to be the exact same way.
Darian Sanders, it is a pleasure to have you in studio today.
Thank you for having me.
I say you're a fellow bluegrass. What do we call it? Folkian? I don't know, man. Like Grassian. But here's what the Northern, you all in Lexington and those in Louisville didn't used to like to recognize Northern Kentucky, that we were part of the state. Because we're inside the loop, a lot of people identify as Cincinnati, but here's what we are in Northern Kentucky. Welcome to the north side of the Bluegrass.
Okay.
Where things taste a little sweeter.
Okay.
We smile a little wider.
All right.
And we laugh a little louder.
I'll challenge that.
Okay, let's go. You've got all those?
I'm just saying, I don't know that you all laugh louder than I do.
Ooh.
From Lexington, but I live in Louisville.
Okay.
I don't know, man, taste a little sweeter. I mean, you are pushing Northern Kentucky, and most northern places have sweet tea, or correction, they have iced tea, and you can sweeten it, which that's not sweet tea.
It's not sweet.
No, it's not. It's dirt water.
Just in general, everything tastes a little sweeter. We're a hidden part of the state.
Okay.
And we have some really cool things going on up here, but you make it a little bit cooler.
Come on.
So we're going to talk about some stuff today. You're on a big tour right now.
I am.
Welcome to the marketing world.
I'm just saying, we're here.
We're here.
We're here.
Don't fear your roar. We're going to talk about where that title comes from.
Absolutely.
Because it just happens to have something to do with a big part of your life, what's happened over the past few years.
It does. It does.
I'm more interested in some of the segments and some of the ideas and principles in the book than just the title.
Come on.
Right?
I'm here for that.
And so I'm excited about that. So this is probably pre-sales. I don't know where. Everywhere. You can just type it in and you'll find it.
Yeah, it's technically you can type it in everywhere. I tell everybody, if you go to my website, dariansanders.com, that is the quickest and easiest way to get the book. Mm-hmm. And then you can also get it personalized, because I literally send them all out from my house. So I sign them all, write a little note in there, say thank you. It's the small things, but also the real things that I love about doing this way.
So basically you're the new age Jeff Bezos, because he didn't write the book, but he started reselling books out of his garage. He boxed them up. He sent them. He took them to the post office. So in 20 years, like, can I buy a stock right now really cheap, what we could have bought Amazon? Can I put $100 in this thing or something?
I'm saying this.
Buy some books.
This is personal. Buy some books.
All right. So this journey you've been on, I think what so many people would think is significant. We want to know more about you, about the person, the author, but you have a lead role in, I haven't seen many Broadway plays, but I saw this one in New York.
Come on.
And you have a lead role of Simba in The Lion King, and you're playing that in the national tour, right, of North America.
Yeah, honestly, I just got finished 5 weeks ago.
Let's talk about it.
So I joined the tour in 2019. I was in the ensemble understudying Simba. Did that for a couple months. I actually tore my meniscus and ended up leaving the tour, repairing it. And while I was repairing it, the pandemic hit. And came back after the pandemic and came back as Simba full-time. So I've been doing that for the past 3 years. I finished September 22nd in Greenville, South Carolina. After I finished that, got a little time to hang out with the family. I figured, why not just release a book? And so that's what I've been doing a worship tour, and then post-worship tour, doing conferences and releasing the book.
What, after this book, we're going to talk about a lot of this, but what happens next? Is there a plan?
The giant plan, the end goal is an EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. That's the world that I'm going for and the world that I'm in right now. Most people are like, oh man, that's everybody wants that. I'm like, yeah, everybody does. However, are people doing the things that are aligning to put them in steps and goals to get there?
Do you have that plan?
I mean, we're working on it. Absolutely.
Does it come one at a time, or do you see how they need to link up as well?
It can come one at a time, but also if I'm in a new Broadway show and I get a Tony for a Broadway show and they ended up getting a Grammy for that same Tony show, two can happen in the same bit. Same aspect if I'm in a movie. Happen to be in a movie that's starring myself, maybe my book, and all of a sudden now I'm singing in this movie and that movie gets a Grammy. So I'm getting all the things that come along with that as well.
So why is the EGOT, why is that a goal?
I would say it comes from a lot of different things. One, there's only, I believe, 21 people. I think Elton John is the most recent EGOT winner. There's something about it for me that just says in all of these different fields, people are recognizing you for the greatness that you are putting out. Also, the reality for me is this world has never been a world that I've been a part of. The world that I started with was wanting to be a high school band director. And this was never a dream, never a goal, never an aspiration. So when it became a reality and that eventually became a dream, and now I'm living that dream, it's like, all right, now if I'm living this dream, what can be next? Like, what is possible? Well, an EGOT's possible. All right, so let's put the EGOT as the goal and let's go for that. Once the EGOT has been gotten, then what? We'll figure that out once we get there.
How long do you think it's going to take you to get there?
I have a goal to be one of the first 50 people to get an EGOT. We're sitting at 21 right now, so you never know. It could be next year, or it could be a couple of years down the road.
However long it takes, you continue on the path, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm open-handed. So honestly, in the journey that I've been living, my wife and I, from the moment we got married up until taking a worship pastor job to having a child to doing Broadway, it's always been open-handed. It's like, God, where do you want us? Where do you need us? Where are you calling us? Close the doors that are not of you. And if they're open, that means you want us to choose the desires of our heart. Whether it's one door, whether it's 5 doors, however that be, if the options are there, if you've already closed the doors that are not of you, then you're just allowing us to choose. So what would that be?
Where does you taking action and taking responsibility fall in there too? Because a lot of people say things like that and rest on it, and they wake up when they're not taking action like, well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
Not by any means. So my whole thought process and my whole life has been, I have been given a God-given talent. It's always been in leadership. That's a reality. I've always been put in leadership positions, not from me trying to do it, me wanting to do it, but other people placing me there, or I turn around and somebody's following me. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm leading the charge here. And so realizing and understanding the things that have been given to you, and then taking those by the horns and saying, okay, now I can't just rest on what's been given to me. Now I have to do something with it. I've been given the ability to move well, and I have this natural musical ability. All right, so I'm in a Broadway show. What does that mean now? That doesn't mean anything. It means I have to keep working on the craft. So I still take singing lessons once a week. I take acting lessons every Monday. I take dance classes in the cities that I'm in, or in the city that I'm in right now. And it's me honing in the skill, because just like I talk about and walk through when I do marriage counseling, if you're not working on your marriage, you're working on divorce. That's the reality. If I'm not working on getting my craft better, someone else is getting better than me. So if I'm not working on improving and honing in that skill, I'm working on that skill deteriorating.
Where did this responsibility come from? That you have a responsibility that if you're given a talent that you should fulfill the capability?
I would say I've probably always I grew up in a household that we were all amongst leaders. I guess we were all leaders in our own rights, in our own seasons. I'm one of 8 kids. And so through the years, our family name has always carried weight with it. And so making sure that I'm upholding to that family name, and then realizing and understanding I'm my own man and I'm my own person. And so because of that, I have to have my own convictions and my own desires and thoughts and responsibility for that. And so taking charge of my life and understanding the things that have been given to me weren't given to my other siblings. Yes, we have things that we do in common and are alike, But the reality is this is the responsibility that's been given to me. How am I going to steward that? And then with my faith, that's walking forward with that as well. Like God's given me an amazing ability and gift in a lot of different ways. And even with my smile, I know that me walking into a room in my presence changes people's personality, and it changes some people's hearts and some people's days. It makes it just better. I walk into a room and I smile and they look at me and they're like, man, I don't know what it is about you, but there's just something that has shifted right now. And I'm like, cool.
How long have you been aware of that?
It's probably since I got saved and baptized in 2006. That was kind of the first shift that happened. I didn't really realize what was going on and understand that's what I brought to the table. But it wasn't until about a year or two into leading worship and just understanding the calling of my life to just spread the good news of Jesus, which is joy and love. And it wasn't until there was one situation. I was at church and I was singing worship and this lady came and found me and she said, hey, I really need you to meet my mother. I was like, okay, cool. So I go down and I meet her mother. Her mother's blind. And she grabs me by the hand and she grabs my face and she says, hey, I just need you to know I have hated coming into church because it's so loud. It is so it's just not what I want, but I still come. She said, but there was something about today, you singing, it just gave me this peace and this calm. And for the first time, I could see clearly and I felt calm. And at that moment, I was like, oh man, I'm shifting some rooms. I don't realize that I'm shifting rooms, but the Holy Spirit working in me and through me. Now, I walk through that and also say, I am not a perfect person.
Here's the humility. Here it comes.
No, but it's just the reality. There are things that I don't do well. There are people that don't like me, and I get it and understand, and I don't have
what do you do with that?
A phenomenal day all the time. That's a reality. I'm human. I may be trying to live a life that is pleasing to God and as close as I can to the calling that He's laid on my heart and in my life, but I don't get everything right 100% of the time.
What do you do when you don't get it right? Because that's where so many people get caught up in life. It really is. That's depression. That's anxiety, worried about the judgment of others, negative self-talk.
Yeah.
What do you do with that?
One, it's my community. I have a solid community. I have an amazing wife who truly is part of why I can do what I do. She keeps me grounded. She keeps me rooted. But also in those moments, in those times that I'm beating myself up, she's like, all right, babe, let's talk about this. I have friends that are in my world that are some of the most encouraging people. And in the sense of not always, I can walk into a room and start singing. People are like, man, you have a voice like an angel. I'm not saying just the surface level of encouragement. I'm saying, man, the way that you loved on that old lady and holding that door, the way that you offered to pay for this guy's groceries so that he didn't have to go back to his car to get his card and he's a veteran, and this just random things, and not for accolades or not for anything like that. It's them seeing and living and doing life with me and seeing all these small moments and being able to speak into that, encouraging me in those moments. But also in the same aspect, when my mind and when my head gets too big for myself and I start to get all this excitement about this, and this, they're like, hold on one second, chump. Let me rein it back in real quick. Let me remind you how stupid you are real quick. Hold on.
We see the deficiencies.
Bring it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And quick to point it out. But I would say the thing that I probably appreciate more than anything, and this is where I feel like a lot of people, they don't have it. And for whatever reason, whether it's they feel insecure or whether they don't have those real relationships to have, I love my friend group and I love my circle because I can go to them with anything. And when I say anything, I mean, hey, I'm going to talk on this podcast and I'm really hyped about it. Not in a boastful way, not in a, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. But you have those friend groups or you have those people that you go say that to and they're like, look at you, always trying to talk about the things that you're doing, always doing this and doing that. Like, gosh, we know you're going on another podcast. We know you're singing at the Lakers game again. We know you're doing this. Like you see the highlight reel that people want you to see, but that's maybe 1/10 of what I do in my life that I post on Instagram or social media.
So there's this thing out here that it's actually more important that you're careful for the people that you celebrate your wins with.
Woo. Yes. Because not everybody's for you. That's the reality. Not everybody is. And everyone may have the best intentions. Everyone may have the best heart. But even my friends, like what I love is like sometimes even speaking to them and letting them know some things, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I
Not
sharing
too much
am I
today.
sharing too much? I'm like, no, you're not. It's great. It's awesome. But then when I am sharing too much, it's like, okay, now you're just trying to rub it in. You get to fly with this person, you got to do this, you got to do that. Like in telling a story of being in LA, I always talk about when James Corden did his last show they came to Lion King. It was him and Tom Cruise, and I'm like, yeah. And then we got done with
Did you get to sing in the car with him?
No, but I did get to have drinks with Tom Cruise afterwards.
Okay. Can we talk about how that was, or is that private?
In terms of what?
I don't know. Just what was the experience like? Were you fanboying, or did you really get to talk with him, the person?
Here's the thing, and this is what I tell people all the time. I love meeting people that are genuinely amazing. And Tom Cruise is one of those people.
Why?
When I tell you his authenticity of having conversation, of being present in the moment, even in the midst of working. So we'll be talking like this, having this conversation, and then we're filming something, obviously for the show. So we're talking like this, and then he'll just walk away, go do his thing, but then he'll come right back and he's like, okay, you asked the question why. Let me answer that question, blah, blah, blah. Or I'm in the middle of answering something and he has to walk away to do this. I can't be butthurt because he walked away because he's working. But then he comes back and he's like, okay, I walked away, but you were in the middle of telling me this about your wife and about your boy and then homeschooling this and then this and that. So he's like recalling everything. He's super present, but he is very professional in what he's doing.
It's awesome to see somebody that doesn't have to be, but that has that level of curiosity about the conversation.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to know and to see. And for me, it grounds me and says, Darian, I don't care where you get to. I don't care what you get to do. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're Simba. Like, yeah, I was Simba. I did that for 3 years. I was the number one guy in the number one musical in the world. But guess what? I'm not anymore. Somebody else is going to be that after me. Like, that's the reality. Yes, he's done all these Mission Impossibles. Yes, he's done this, blah, blah. He's eventually going to die. And somebody else is going to come and do movies after him.
You forgot Cocktail, man. You forgot. I'm old. I'm dating myself. So you mentioned leadership a couple times earlier.
Yeah.
What's that mean to you? Because we could pull up the book. We could pull up a John Maxwell and the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership and Principles. But what's leadership? When you say you're put in a place to be a leader, what does this term mean to you?
Oh man. Wow, that's a phenomenal question. And I think because I come from the band world, that's where leader originated for me and kind of where I start all of those things. But now it has shifted a little bit to the theater world. So when I think about the band world, I look at, man, when the teacher's not around, when I am in charge of the group, I march drum corps, DCI, and I was the conductor for that. And so looking at it and understanding I am responsible for 165 people that are on the field, making sure that everyone is doing the same thing. And the way that I can make sure that I do that is I make sure that I have a relationship with everybody and I can pull everybody under that same umbrella. And I am in charge and responsible to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Versus I'm just walking and I'm like, why are they doing that? I don't know. I don't know what's going on in their world. I don't know why they're acting out or why they haven't been here or why they're late. And I know I can, as a leader, then speak up on another term. I can say, no, they're late because they had a family issue. And I can go later on and be like, okay, the family issue was car broke down. He had to go get this person. That's why he's like 15 minutes late. But he already spoke to me. It's all good. And so the director then appreciates, respects, and understands it's not my job to take care of that, but to know that I know what's going on, I can speak on that so they don't have to get called out. So they can understand and have that respect and be like, okay, I understand what's going on without it being so why are you late? What's going on? Well, and then you're throwing embarrassment on that front and you're protecting your people. You're protecting your flock. You're protecting the people that are under your watching care. We get to the theater world. I'm a leading man in a leading role of this show. So I'm leading the charge. That means a lot of different things. That means on the stage, I should be able to understand and command where everyone's going and what's going on. Obviously, we all have our choreography, we have our places, direction, all those things from people, but it's live theater. We do it 8 shows a week, 6 days a week. Everything does not happen the way that it should. And so because of that, I have to be able to have enough resolve that I can make decisions and change up things or move things. Or if somebody is an understudy and they're on, I know my stuff, I know myself, and I know everything around me enough that I can grab somebody and move them. If something, God forbid, happens with the scenery or whatnot, I know and I'm aware of all the things, so then I can help pull people around and move people out.
So you've spoken to things without using the word, to a friend group, to leading with intentionality.
Yes.
And so you've been very intentional about significant parts of your life. Is that well thought out? Is that a part of the plan? Does that just happen for you? Because you're very intentional about the people you surround yourself with in a positive way, your friend group.
I am.
You're intentional about being able to speak to not just what being a leader is, how you have to lead. It's very intentional.
I think it has come through life in the world that I've lived. I have carried many hats in many different worlds. I joke all the time and I say I do a little bit of everything, so people can't tell me I can't do anything. It's like, oh, let's go play tennis. All right, I'm gonna play tennis. Oh, let's go play volleyball. Let's go play football, basketball, baseball, pickleball. I'm like, cool, bowling, cool. Like I'm able to do a little bit of everything. And then somebody says, hey, can we sit down and play this board game? Can we play this card game? Hey, I need help with the computer doing this. I'm going to know how to do practically everything. And so I think the intentionality came from not wanting to, it came from wanting to be prepared for situation scenarios. I think that's part of what it is as being a leader, knowing and understanding if you are in charge of this podcast and something goes wrong, you have to be able to pivot and shift. Somebody gets sick, they can't come in, you have to know how to turn on the equipment. You also have to know how to turn on all the cameras, and then you have to know how to change the mics and move this and move that. Like, you should be able to start everything and then sit down and go. And with that also comes with the understanding of like, man, there's so many different parts to so many different things.
So here's what you exude. You exude a high level of self-esteem, self-confidence, a very high level. And I say exude that. I'm assuming it's inside of you. So I'm going to make an assumption. Where'd that start? And the reason why I ask that is when I see people not achieving the outcomes that they've dreamt about, and I see that they have great intentions in the morning, and they've told themselves that they're going to do the necessary tasks to help move their day and their life forward, but so often they get caught up and don't do the things. Man, it leads back. It may seem so simple to psychologists and all the professionals, but there's a lack of self-esteem and self-confidence. It's missing. So where'd yours start?
Oh, man, to pinpoint that?
Have you thought about it?
I have not.
Do you know that you know you have that and possess those things, though, right?
I do. I think it honestly started when I was a child, and it started from getting bullied and picked on. And the reality is man, I was picked on most of like elementary childhood all the way through until I got to about high school. And then there was this sense and this understanding of my self-worth, my value, but also what I bring to the table. And by the time I got to high school, that's where I started to be separated from other people. I used to think, man, one of the things that I used to get made fun of was because I didn't have a quote unquote mean bone in my body. I was a goody two shoes, and or I was best friends with everybody. So people would say, man, you're just like a kindergarten kid. You meet somebody and all of a sudden now your superhero is going to destroy the world. And I'm like, yeah, why not? and that mentality, that mindset has always kind of been the case. One, because that's what our household was. I remember growing up, and I remember having siblings who had friends who did not have. And so I remember them coming over for Christmas, and it's like, hey, so-and-so's coming over. And it's like, okay, all hands on deck. So we go, and we'd already unwrapped our Santa presents, and we were about to do family presents. So we would take a Santa present and go and try to get a gift bag real quick, or go wrap this or go wrap that. And having 8 kids, it's just like, it's all hands on deck. No one's going to go without.
Who set that culture?
I would say my mom.
Special lady, huh?
Well, 1,000%. 1,000%. Taught 3rd grade for 37 years. Technically 36 years, and taught 2nd grade for 1 year. But we still say taught 3rd grade for 37 years. Same school. Myself and some of my siblings came up in that same school district, that same place. And so the standard was set.
There was an expectation.
1,000%. And so looking at that and realizing that, I would say with that standard, but then also when I got to high school and realizing, man, I'm being set apart in different ways, not from anything that I have done or said. It's just me being me and understanding people don't think the same way that I do. And I used to get made fun of because of it. And now it's like, man, you are unique and special because, man, you saw this when no one else saw it. You saw this person sitting by themselves and you chose to go sit with them in the parking lot, even though everybody else was sitting in the lunch tables of this place or they're doing this. And you chose to just walk over there. And I didn't realize like that person was struggling with this, and this. Realizing and understanding like people are calling you and talking to you in moments that they are in dire need that you don't realize, man, you were their last phone call. And it's like, what? Like, I didn't realize me picking up the phone was just that. Me flying to places because I hear it in somebody's voice. And it's like, man, one of my best friends was going through one of his most challenging moments in life. And that's just a reality. Like, he was just in not a good spot.
And you get on a plane.
And I get on a plane.
Right on.
Literally had that conversation. I was like, love his family, love all the things. And they were just like, he's just got to pray about it and do this. And I'm like, no. Something is wrong. He does not sound okay. And I talked to my wife and she's like, babe, go. Literally called out of work the rest of the week. And I flew down and I told him, I said, hey, if you feel like you were going to hurt yourself, hurt somebody else, go to a hospital. I'm on my way. And I land and I literally, while I'm on the plane, he had a friend take him to the hospital. I land thinking I'm going to go to him at his house. And I answer, like I turn my phone on and it's like, hey, we're at this. I'm like, cool, I'm coming to the hospital. So I take an Uber right to the hospital. And then I sit with him for 4 days. Process up at night, sitting. Why? Because that's what he needed. And I'm like, you would do that. I mean, you would do that for me, right? You would do that for somebody you love. And it's like, it's crazy to think. And I'm not saying that I'm.
No, we're talking in general. Let's.
Yeah, I'm just saying like.
But that action is significant. You don't have to reduce who you are or highlight you are as a human. That action is unique and significant. It shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah. And so I start to think, man, how many people in this world are suffering, are struggling, are hurting. And obviously I understand and I know, like, and I tell people this all the time, I don't see how you get through life every day. I have to rely on Jesus. That's just me. Like, that's my spiritual compass. That's my oasis. That's where I find my strength. And through that, I'm able to do the things that I do. And so I look at that and I'm like, just the decency of what he's called us to do. He's called us to be his hands and feet. He's called us to be in the places and do the things that he needs us to do, to see with his eyes, to be his hands and feet. So what does that look like? That looks like somebody doesn't have food. Let's get them food. How many times do we go to Starbucks? How many times do we go to a gas station? How many times do we have all of a surplus of what we need? Let's just talk about it.
So going back to this high school moment, I'd make an assumption. I'd make a reverse prediction that when you started changing and realizing that something different was happening, it also coincided with you stop worrying about what people thought about you.
Yes and no. It was a process. I am a people pleaser by heart. And I think that comes with, as a young age, wanting to be seen. I was the sixth child of 8. I was the baby for 7 years. My wife always laughs at me because we get back with the family and she was like, you shifted, babe. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, you just got loud. And I was like, the loudest person gets hurt.
That was it. Did you realize that? Didn't you realize that?
I didn't know that.
You just had to.
It's just had to. Like, it's just force of habit. And it's like, you have 8 kids, full family. Like, we're playing card games, all the things. And she's like, you're screaming, calm down. And so, but it wasn't from a negative place. It was just like the reality of like, this is how we talk. This is how we laugh, we joke, it's loud. And so I didn't realize that until she pointed it out. But then also looking at what that means and what that looks like as me as a human now was, okay, the wanting to be seen as a child, as the baby, but then moving into the goody two shoes, if you would say, to people pleasing, to like making sure that I have my P's and Q's together because we have this reputation to uphold and to make sure that the standard that was set by my siblings, I'm still holding to that because people say, oh, you're a Sanders kid. I'm like, cool. All right. I gotta be a Sanders kid. I gotta make sure I have everything in order. Like, and for somebody that struggled with school, it was like, I'm working twice as hard just to make sure my sister, who was the brainiac, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be like, she's a lawyer now. Like that's the reality. Like I'm like, oh,
She'd trade her life for yours.
Well, she does come to all my shows.
Of course, she's like,
been,
where did I go wrong?
She's been to like 12 Lion King shows.
I know, because she's like, this lawyer thing, they think it's awesome. They can have it.
Oh man.
So this book, a couple of the things to touch on. I haven't read it yet, but I'm assuming I'm going to get to now.
Absolutely.
Okay. It's a story of faith and resilience from Bluegrass to Broadway. The title is Don't Fear Your Roar. Why that title?
People think that it's because of the Lion King. It is not. However, I have loved the lion since I was a little kid. I remember waking up and watching National Geographics and watching Big Cat Diary, and I was just obsessed with big cats. I would know all the facts about them and just the beauty of them. They look mean, but they're majestic. And even the aspect of lionesses are my favorite. And they're my favorite because they are truly the essence of what makes the world turn for a lion pride. It's like, yeah, the male is big and bulky and protects the pride from another male and hyenas and all these other things. But the functionality and the ecosystem of how the world works is all run by the females. And watching that matriarch society kind of mimicked my household just a little bit. My mom, she was the be all end all say of things. And it's like, can I go do this? Can I blah, blah, blah? Ask your mom. Okay. Can I do this? Mom. And so like, maybe that's why I grew to love lions so much and grew to love big cats. But the Don't Fear Your Roar kind of came into this place of I would go into schools and I would talk about my story. I would talk about my journey and I would walk through all of these aspects. But one of the things is I had a friend that would challenge me and he said, chase your no. I was like, chase your no? What are you talking about? He was like, you go up to somebody and you ask them for something and they said yes, your ask wasn't big enough. I'm like, okay, so I'm singing at this wedding. Hey, I want to sing at this wedding. How much you charge to sing? $50. Okay, cool. Sing at this wedding. I'm like, 50? You said yes, 50? Okay. Sing at this wedding. $100. Yeah, cool. Like, he said yes. And so like, then you up it. Not to just be money gouging all these things. I tell people this all the time. My value and my worth is the same. You get the same singer today that you did 20 years ago before I started on Broadway. The reality is I now have accolades to back up what I've been doing this whole entire time.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you like these types of conversations, be sure to follow The Necessary Entrepreneur on your favorite platform so you never miss out on future content. So what's the benefit of chasing the no?
So the benefit of chasing no is a couple things. One, if you don't want to do something, I'll put a price tag on it until you make me say yes. You say, hey, can you sing at my wedding? I'm like, one, I don't want to. Two, I don't have the time and energy to. And three, no, I just don't want to. And they're like,
how about $5,000?
You made me say yes.
There you go.
One song.
So when you hear no, if you want it bad enough, the no is going to lead you to develop skills. So that's going to turn into a yes.
It's going to turn into a yes.
It 100% is.
Or like you look at it, or at least I look at it in this way. There are so many dreams and aspirations that I want to do. You're like, why an EGOT? I'm like, why not? Most people have that limiting belief of like, I can't get an EGOT. I can't do this. Like, why not? Somebody has to get it. Somebody has to do all of these things.
Why not you?
Why not me? It's like, well,
talking too much. Your brain needs to slow down when that happens, doesn't it? Why not you? That's it.
And literally in the book, in the preface, I say, tell yourself to shut up. Like,
there you go.
If you think about it, you're like, your first response shouldn't be, I can't do this. I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have this.
Then go get it. Then go be it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a 39-year-old who did not graduate college, who left to pursue ministry, who then left ministry to pursue Broadway theater.
Was that hard, that transition and judgment there?
No, because I would say that I didn't leave ministry. I said that, but I don't mean left ministry. Vocationally, I stopped working in the church.
The time that you spent.
Yeah, I'm still an ordained pastor. I still lead worship around the country. I still marry couples. I still do life.
Was there judgment around that?
I wouldn't say there was judgment. There was misconception. there were some people that were like, "Oh, he's leaving the church. Is he okay? Like, is he falling to the wayside?" And then there's other people that are like, "Oh, he's leaving the church. He's going to the mission field. Oh, yes, he's going." And I'm like, "Come on, y'all. It's not like that at all."
Yeah.
Like, I was a part of a church that had roughly 40,000 people.
It's a big church.
It's a big church. Let's say they had 500 on staff.
Is this one in Louisville? It's a big church in Louisville.
You know, it's a big church. Big, yeah. And so you say, okay, what do the other 39,500 people do after Sunday? They go into the workforce. That's exactly what I'm doing, except I'm going around the country performing in a show, 8 shows a week, 6 days a week.
But you're also going to still do it.
Absolutely.
It's not an or.
No, yeah. It's an and.
That's the misconception.
And that's what I did. Yeah. People were like, "Oh, you're still doing this." Yeah, I'm touring around the country. Oh, we're going to be in Cincinnati for 5 weeks. Cool. I'm going to go to this church and I'm going to lead worship. And I'm an ordained pastor that can come in and help.
So you said and twice. And. That's
yeah.
it. There's always more. We're capable of so much more than we know.
People shortchange themselves.
They do. All right. So you want to offer a beacon of hope and encouragement.
1,000%.
Why?
Why not? Here's my thing. There are so many people that wish and hope and need hope, joy, a sense of purpose, and honestly love. There's so many people that are seeking to be seen and to be known, and they want to know. So why not share with them what you know? And why not listen? Why not sit? Because I can sit and listen to you.
And seek to understand.
Seek to understand.
Yeah.
But then ultimately, at the end of me seeking to understand, what are you going to say? What do you think? I didn't offer my opinion. You're asking for my opinion.
He's got a PhD in psychology, folks. Reach higher and dream bigger.
Enough said. Say less. People think and they look at kids and they're like, "Oh, this kid wants to play in the MLB." You don't think that kid's stupid. You're like, cool. You're starting out baseball and you want to play in the MLB. You see people that you see and love. One of my old kiddos that I had at U of L just won the World Series with the Dodgers. Something that he's dreamed about since he was a little kid, right? Because he wanted to play in the MLB. What's the best part of the MLB? Playing in the World Series. What's the best part of playing in the World Series?
Winning it.
Winning it. And he did. I have other friends, I have other kiddos that like playing for the Oakland A's, playing for the A's, like playing for the Dodgers, you have the Angels, you have the, like, just all these other aspects.
We get it, Darian. There's too many. We know.
We
get it.
Let me rein it back in real quick.
There's too many.
Let me rein it back.
I'm going to be the friend reminder. Yes, we know.
Oh, man.
So we only have a few more minutes, man, because you have to go up and do a book signing here in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
What's special about Kentucky?
Oh, man.
Because we don't get the respect we need.
Come on, put some respect on my name.
Huh? We can always point to what's east of us, and we say, well, at least we're not that, another state. But what's special about Kentucky?
I will say the beauty of Kentucky. I think it is. I've traveled around the country, and I don't know that there is any place as lush and gorgeous as driving down, and I'm from Lexington, so this always pops into my head.
Where you're going down Paris and driving into Paris and stuff?
Driving down Paris and driving down Versailles Road. So two things. You have Paris, you have all those trees, you have the beauty of the color of the fall change. But then driving down Versailles Road, you also have the horse fences with the beauty of the grass and then the trees and the tree lines. And so there's just all these different places that you can just see the beauty. Then you go into the spring and you see why we get called the Bluegrass, and driving out early in the morning as the sun's rising and seeing that beautiness.
But what about our people?
I was getting there. Don't you worry. I love Kentucky because it, both Lexington, Louisville.
Go ahead and leave us out. Go ahead.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Because I wasn't going to say Cincinnati. I was going to say Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, we got to have a city. We got to call it Covington or something.
Okay. Covington.
Northern. And then maybe we'll give Paducah and Owensboro some love. And maybe more. Maybe we'll give them, maybe. Eastern Kentucky, maybe.
I would say that we are a big town, small city. And I would say that's the feel of Kentucky. It is not large like Atlanta, New York, St. Louis, Cali, all these places. But it is big enough to where you feel like you're a part of something bigger. But it's small enough to where you're like, oh, I know that person. Oh, I know that person.
Why do we treat each other well? Because the overarching sentiment and sense is we do. I'm not talking about the outliers of mean people and people that are having bad days and all that. That happens everywhere. But there's an overarching, this is a place that we hold doors, we say hello, and we say thank you, and it feels like it's just who we are.
It's home. I would say it gives us a sense of home. Southern hospitality, and I think it's Southern hospitality at its genuineness finest. To see and understand the genuineness of people, and people look each other in the eye.
Yeah.
People have conversations. Even when you go out to eat, it's not like I'm going to look down at my menu and then talk to my waiter or waitress. It's I'm going to look you in the eye, but then I'm also going to ask you, how are you doing?
It's a part of this conversation back to Tom Cruise. Maybe it's why you appreciate it so much.
It is.
Being present. If you're going to take the time to talk to someone, be present.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Doesn't take any more time.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit more intentionality on your part, but
it's a much better way to live. It
yes.
is. What's it feel like when the lights come up and it's your turn to walk out on stage for the first time for that show that evening? What's that feeling?
There is obviously excitement to get to do it finally after all the rehearsal, after all the process, to be able to actually be in front of a crowd that obviously you've done it in front of your cast members and the directors and things, and they appreciate it. But to be in front of a paying audience and to see and understand that they appreciate it. But also, whether it's the first time or whether it's the 2000th time that I've done it, we always have that same sentiment before we go on the stage of understanding it's somebody's very first time watching a musical, but it's also somebody's very last time. In either way, we're creating memories. It's going to be the first time that you've seen this with your child, your grandchild, your friend, your spouse, or it's going to be the last time that you get to see it with those people. And the memories that we get to make and we get to create in that moment, in that time, is going to be the only time that it's ever going to happen in this lifetime. There's never going to be a time that cast and that audience is going to be the exact same way. You could have the same cast, but it's going to be a different audience. You can have the same audience, but maybe the cast is going to change up. You don't know what's going to happen. And so because of that time and that show is so special. And then you walk through, and yes, we're talking about the stage now, but you walk through life in that same manner. This is the last time that all four of us are going to be in this room at the same time.
The last time you want to.
No, stop it. But in this manner,
yeah.
The next time that it happens.
That shirt on, this energy, this moment, with whatever happened to you today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the next time it happens, guess what? The book's already going to be out. We're already going to have had this conversation, so our relationship is going to change.
And you're going to have gone through different experiences, so your mind has leveled up and changed a little bit more.
1,000%. You're not going to ask me the same questions. We're not going to walk through the same stories.
No.
And so because of that, that's already shifted and changed. And so every moment, every section, every entity that we get is special. And so realizing and understand, man, it's going to be super special. What I'm going to do at Joseph Beth tonight in a couple hours is different than what I did at Joseph Beth in Lexington. It's going to be different than what I do at Carmichael Bookstore on Wednesday. All of these things shift and change, and the audience and what I do and what I bring to the table are different.
So your shirt says "Be you." They'll adjust. If you're gonna wear it on your shirt, we're gonna talk about it.
It's a shirt I found on Facebook actually years ago, but even in the aspect of it, I think I love it the most because it's the biggest conversational starter. And people are like, "Man, I love your shirt. Man, I love your shirt." I'm like, "Okay, you love my shirt, but my question is, why do you love my shirt? Do you feel like you can't be yourself? Do you feel like you're putting up a front or a face or fake two-face? Like, what's the reason? Why can't you be yourself?" Because I'm myself. I try to be myself in every situation and place that I go into. However, the reality is sometimes I'm not. But it's the people that are close to me, or it's the people in certain situations that can tell me that. So I told you that I take acting classes every week. I'm in an acting class right now for film and TV. It's a whole different ballgame than theater. It's a lot smaller. You're on a screen. You're not having to fill up a stage in a theater. And so everything has to be minimalistic, but also it has to be more real because everything is so intimate. And so as we are doing the scene work, as we're talking, my instructor was like, why are you being fake? And that's like that
That'll hit you hard.
it rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not. And he said, no, when you walk into a casting room, here's the thing. The casting directors, everybody's going to talk to you. Then they're going to say, put on the scene. And so you've had this conversation with me now for 2 minutes. Now I tell you to put on a scene. And all of a sudden you're like, so let me tell you what's going on. Blah, blah. And like, what's that voice? You walk into a room. He's like, we've been on this call for an hour now. And you've been smiling, you've been laughing, blah, blah, blah. We go to the scene and you are as dead-faced as can be because you're trying to be in the scene and think about this. I need that smile. You light up a room with your smile. So why aren't you giving people that smile? I'm like, dang it. You got me.
What do you do with failure? What do you do with it when it comes? It might not be your word. Because there's somebody who wrote a book, Marie Forleo. She said everything's figure-outable. She said there's no failures, there's just learning.
That's real.
But a lot of people have the word failure in their brain.
I was about to say I haven't processed it in that manner. I would say I take my failures and I want to learn from them. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. And if you ask my wife, she will tell you that I'm not perfect. However, one thing that she will tell you is I try. So if I fail in this front, I'm going to try to fix it. I will hopefully try not to fail in the same way every time. It may be in the same direction, but it's not going to be the exact same way. It's going to be an inch moved one way or the other because there's going to be some adjustment.
But don't you have to honestly reflect on what didn't work to be able to then do it better?
Absolutely.
That's the piece that's missing from so many folks.
Absolutely.
It feels so bad to go down the path to honestly reflect. You can do that without being depressed about the outcome.
Yeah.
Right?
And without attacking the person that's pointing out the failure.
100%.
Yeah, I failed. Okay, tell me how I failed. Okay, that hurts. I don't want to hear it. But now that you've told me, I can adjust it. I may not like it. I may not like you right now, but I still respect you for telling me the truth. Cool. Okay.
So you've invoked the wife and how special she is a few times here.
Yes.
What I've learned in life from listening to people that have come before me, my own experience in life and so many others, boy, it's important that you choose the right partner.
1,000%.
Why is that true for you?
Because I am a dreamer. I'm a mover. I'm a shaker. I'm a go-getter. I am in 100 million different directions. And if I did not have somebody that, one, allowed me to do that and allowed me to be me, I don't know that I would flourish in the way that I do. Part of that's in the book with deciding to do theater. The process that she didn't give me permission to do it, but man, when she said go do it, it was one of the most freeing, and like I think that's why we were able to do it in the way that we have done it. And then two, she is the opposite of me. She is a homebody. I am not. And so she grounds me and pulls me back and allows me to honestly see the opposite side and see my blind spots where I don't see them. Financially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, she points out the things, and we are partners. It's not I'm higher than her, she's higher than me. We are equals on the front of we speak into each other's lives. And there's seasons and there's times that I have to take a back seat so that she can do the things that she needs to do. And she takes a back seat so that I can do the things that I need to do. And then we sit side by side and move together. But the conversation is always that of unison and togetherness.
Did you know that you picked the right one, or did you just emotionally think? Did you know? Were you that smart?
1,000%. We went on a blind date on Monday. I didn't talk to her on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and on that Friday, I told my best friend, hey, I'm going to marry her. He was like, whoa, pump the brakes. You ain't dating nobody in 7 years, and all of a sudden, this is going to be the chick you marry. I'm like, yeah.
How old were you?
26.
Sounds like a good decision. I think we're two things. I don't just say this to put it on you, but to have some conversation as we start to wrap up. I think we're our thoughts and decisions that we make with those thoughts. I don't think it's more complicated than that. Maybe some psychologists could say that, but we're the things that we think about and then the decisions we make. What do you think about that?
1,000%. The mindset controls the actions, and then the actions then give you a result that then controls the mindset, that then yet again controls. It's just a cycle.
It's a cycle in a loop.
It is.
Yeah.
And so like I look at that and I say, man, I am not a public speaker. I am not a public speaker. If I continue to tell myself that,
you're not going to be one.
I'm not going to be one. And so for the longest time, I would say I'm not a public speaker. And people would just look at me and they'd be like, so why are you talking in public? It's like, you're a public speaker, shut up. And I'm like, let me shut up.
Oh, your friends.
And so there's that, but then there's also the aspect of, I would say I'm not a public speaker because I did not want to look stupid if something was to go wrong. Like,
who cares now? You can figure it out.
I told you I wasn't a public speaker, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, this was, now I'm like, y'all, I messed this up.
When it goes wrong, it's okay.
This is what it is.
It's okay.
This is life.
Yeah.
Like,
and that makes it more special, actually. When you can accept the okay. I tell people so often that don't fear the downside when it goes bad, because that gives you an opportunity to shine.
Absolutely.
Without it, you're just like, whatever. If it just goes the way it's supposed to, it's like, well, he lived up to it. But when it's going really bad,
oh man,
and you have an opportunity to show your worth and what you're capable of,
yes,
that's when it's special.
And those moments, I think, create some of the most magical moments. There's a song called "Run Away with Me" that Jeremy Jordan sings. That you can look it up on YouTube. And he starts to sing it, and he messes up the words, and it just like he just falls apart. And he's like, "I'm so sorry, y'all. Let's try this again." And then he starts to sing, and he's singing it, and he's like, "I'm not good with words." And it's just the room just laughs because it's so real in that moment. But then, as an actor, as a beautiful artist, he then flips it, and then you see the shift, and you see his professionalism, and then he has the room in his hand, and it's like, wow. Like, you're not even in a theater that sits 3,000, 5,000. You're in a room that sits 30 people, and everyone is eating. I'm on YouTube watching you eating out of the palm of your hand because you were like, let me catch my breath. I'm like, wow, yeah, I'm here. Catch your breath. Take all the time you need, sir. Do you?
Hey, you got to run.
Yes.
Thanks for being you, dude. It's great to meet you today.
Same to you.
What a cool book. I bet this book is going to be a refreshing read, I think.
Mm.
Some people can take some great things away with it. And maybe this changes one or two people's perspective and changes their mindset. So maybe they can get on a growth pattern for their life and start improving some things.
Come on.
Make a better life for themselves.
Yes.
And impact those around them. Don't fear your roar. Darian Sanders from the Bluegrass. Have an awesome 2025.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for coming.